Okay, so how do you find meaning when the world just feels so chaotic, full of suffering? It's a huge question, right? Well, that's exactly what the massive bestseller 12 Rules for Life tries to tackle. It's basically a roadmap for dealing with, well, life.
And look, the author, Jordan Peterson, he doesn't sugarcoat it. Right from the get-go, he hits you with this idea. Life is suffering, period. And because of that, he says, just trying to be happy all the time, that's a losing game. It's just going to lead to disappointment. What you really need is something tougher, something that can stand up to all that chaos. And that's something he's talking about? It's me.
So, how do we find this meaning? You'd think the answer would be some, complex philosophy or ancient text. But no, the very first rule in the book starts somewhere really unexpected. It starts with a lobster. Yeah, you heard that right, a lobster. It sounds completely random, I know, but trust me on this one. It's actually a wild and powerful way to get at a deep truth about who we are. All right, before we get to our crustacean friend, let's just quickly get the big idea behind the whole book. Peterson basically says you should see life as this constant drama, right? A kind of cosmic balancing act between two huge fundamental forces.
So on one hand, you've got order. This is, the known world. It's society, your job, the rules everyone follows. It's safe, it's predictable. But then you have chaos, and that's the great unknown, the unexpected. It's where things can go wrong, for sure, but it's also where all the new stuff, all the opportunity, comes from.
And here's the real key. The book argues that true meaning, it isn't found by hiding out in order, where everything is safe. And it's not found by just diving headfirst into chaos, either. Nope. Meaning is found by walking that razor's edge right between them. That's the sweet spot, where you're stable, but you're also growing. And the 12 rules, think of them like guardrails, just helping you stay on that very narrow path.
Which finally brings us to rule number 1. And like I promised, we're heading down to the bottom of the ocean.
Now the rule itself sounds almost too simple, right? Stand up straight with your shoulders back. It's something you've probably heard a million times. But the why behind this simple advice, well, that's where it gets really deep. And it all goes back to the fascinating social lives of lobsters.
See, what you've got to understand is that lobsters are incredibly territorial. They're all competing for the best real estate on the ocean floor, and there's not enough to go around. So they are constantly fighting for status, and this has led to something called a dominance hierarchy.
But what's really amazing is how they handle these fights. They don't just go all out. They've evolved this really sophisticated 4-step system to figure out who's the top lobster, all while trying to avoid as much damage as possible. First, they just kind of show off, waving their claws, squirting chemicals to size each other up. If that doesn't work, they move to posturing, like a standoff. It's only if neither lobster backs down that they'll actually start grappling. And that last step, a real fight to the death, that's super rare.
But here's where it gets really interesting. It's not just about who wins the fight. It's about what happens inside the lobster's brains afterwards. The winner and the loser don't just swim off. Their whole neurochemistry, it literally changes based on the outcome.
And get this whole system is unbelievably old. We're talking 350 million years old. That is older than trees. Seriously. So this isn't some new human invention. This whole dominance hierarchy thing is this super ancient fundamental part of life itself. Our own nervous systems have been built on top of this for, well, forever.
So here's the science of it. The winning lobster, its brain gets flooded with serotonin. That's the confidence chemical. So it stands up tall. It kind of struts around. It's the king of the castle. But the loser? Its brain chemistry totally shifts. Serotonin plummets. Its posture just collapses. It scrunches down, looks defeated, and it's way more likely to just run away from the next fight. Starting to sound a little familiar?
That's because that exact same ancient machinery is whirring away deep inside your brain right now. So let's talk about your inner lobster.
Way down in the oldest part of your brain, you've got this little status detector, this primordial calculator, and its job is to constantly keep track of where you are in the social hierarchy. It's always watching how people react to you, and it uses that data to tweak your brain chemistry.
So if this little calculator thinks you're doing well, that you're respected, it lets more serotonin flow. And you feel it. You're more confident, you're less stressed, you can plan for the future. But if it senses that you're low on the totem pole, it cuts back the serotonin. And then what happens? You feel anxious, your body's on high alert all the time, expecting danger, you get more impulsive. You are basically the defeated lobster.
And this is the absolute kicker. The whole system can create a nasty feedback loop because your posture,
It isn't just a result of how you feel, it's also an input. So if you're slumping, hunched over, you're sending a signal of defeat back to that ancient calculator in your brain. And what does it do? It turns down the serotonin tap, which makes you feel even more defeated, which makes you slump even more. You see the cycle?
So this rule, stand up straight, it's not just physical advice. It's about how to consciously break that negative cycle. It's about adopting a whole new way of facing the world.
Yeah, it's way more than just about how you stand. The physical act is just the beginning. It's a symbol for a much deeper psychological choice.
This quote from the book really nails it. To stand up straight with your shoulders back means you're accepting the terrible responsibility of life with your eyes wide open. It's a conscious decision to face the hard parts, to carry that weight, and to try and make things better, to create order, instead of just letting chaos run you over.
So you see, it's not about pretending. It's not about faking confidence for other people. It's about sending a powerful signal to yourself, to your own ancient nervous system that says, okay, I'm ready. I'm willing to face reality, take on the burden, and build something meaningful. It's literally the first physical step you can take to start turning chaos into order.
So it starts with something so simple, a physical act, but it ends up being this massive philosophical challenge. The rule is basically an invitation to embody courage, starting with nothing more than how you hold your body. And that really leaves just one big question for you to think about. What responsibility are you going to choose to take on?